Fun is what we're all about. Straight No Chaser Talk Radio.
What fun at a party!
This is Straight No Chaser Talk Radio. We're just getting started. Straight No Chaser Talk Radio.
He's drinking that with no chaser.
This is Straight No Chaser Talk Radio. We're just getting started. Straight No Chaser Talk Radio.
He's drinking that with no chaser.
This is Straight No Chaser Talk Radio. We're just getting started. Straight No Chaser Talk Radio.
He's drinking that with no chaser.
It's your boy B, and welcome to another episode of Straight No Chaser, where we never dilute the issues, we only serve the hard stuff. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, we have your man, the man, the myth, the legend, Dr. T. What's going on, Doc? How you doing?
How you doing, V? How you doing? You looking good.
Oh, man, good to see you, sir. You looking good yourself. Always
Thank
a pleasure. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. It's another good day. Another good day. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is our pleasure to introduce Staci Lynn Fletcher to the show. Now, for those of you that don't know Staci is like, she's like a comedy OG in the LA area. She's been doing comedy for quite a few years, and we're going to talk about that as we move on with the show. And she's also starring in a show you may have heard of. It's on CBS called The Neighborhood, featuring Cedric the Entertainer and Trisha Arnold. So without any further ado, welcome to the show, Staci Lynn Fletcher.
Hello, 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 hello.
All right. So Staci, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for asking me to come on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's so good to have you on. And we were talking a little bit before we got started, just about the show and all the things that you've been up to. But right now you're on The Neighborhood, and tell us a little bit about that. And then we want to talk about some of the things that you're doing and your comedy and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so I am on The Neighborhood. I recur on there. I think my character's been on since, I've been popping in and out since season 1. So I play Little Hatchet, which is the OG of the neighborhood, who knows everything, who hears everything, It's fun.
Okay.
It's fun.
And every neighborhood has a little hatchet too.
As a little hatchet.
So let me ask you this. Now, when you're doing your version of Little Hatchet, is that based on anybody you know?
Oh, we all got family members that know everybody's business.
Yeah.
I won't say who, though. I won't say who mine's is based.
That's right. That's always the thing. You always have that auntie or that neighbor that's in
Absolutely.
as they say around the way, that's in everybody's business.
Everybody's business.
What
was that saying? Like the
what'd you say?
The field has ears or something like that. The walls has ears or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I was saying something like that.
The walls have ears and the streets are talking. So
yes.
there's always somebody that's watching what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, indeed. So the show that that you're doing right now. So how did you end up getting on The Neighborhood?
Actually, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I work behind the camera a lot, and I work in front of the camera a lot.
Okay.
I just literally happened to be at the right place at the right time.
Oh, nice.
For Hatchet, and it was supposed to be a one-time thing, and then they just kept bringing me back.
Okay. That's awesome. So now, with the talented crew that you're working with, and now
Mhm.
you're working with Cedric and Trishina Arnold and just all of those comedians. I saw you with Picture Robert Townsend
Mhm.
on what one episode, and with all that
Well,
comedian.
Robert was Robert's daughter Sky Townsend
Uh-huh.
is going to show this season.
Oh, wonderful.
He was visiting the set, so he was not on an episode. He didn't direct.
Okay.
He came down. He did come down to visit,
Just
so
a
I did
visit.
opportunity
Okay.
to meet him. Mhm.
So you're in the presence of
I
additional
was in the presence of
hot dog.
greatness all the time.
Oh,
Always in the presence of great comedy.
I love it. I love
Mhm.
it. So, when you have a talent pool that's that diverse and that great, when you're filming a show like that, do you all get into like a lot of improv? The scene says one thing, but just because, Cedric did something crazy or you did something crazy, everybody kind of clues in on it and you kind of end up going off and doing your own thing?
Yes and no. So,
Okay.
so yeah, yes and no. It has what's written on the page has to be filmed.
Okay.
However, they will do takes, keep something in if something funny happens, or if someone comes up with a funny tag or something, then they'll film it again with that tag in it. But pretty much, so what's on the paper
Uh-huh.
page has to be filmed. But we've had okay, so
Sure.
the neighborhood is a multicam show.
Sure.
And in multicam, you have 3 rehearsal days and 2
Okay.
film. So for those 3 days prior, we've been working it out, and they've been coming up with stuff. So
Okay.
the script has changed from day 1 to film day with things that have been improv or whatever during rehearsal. But
Sure.
that shooting draft that we received
Uh-huh.
is pretty much what you're going to see, with a few exceptions, but it's pretty much so what you're going to see.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I just wonder, how that works sometimes. And let me ask you this. I have to ask: do you have a big outtake reel where you guys are just killing it and just killing each other? You know what I mean? Where you just couldn't get the lines out and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, so they do have a blooper. There is a bloopers reel that at the last day when we have our rap party, they'll show the bloopers that they filmed throughout the season, and those are usually really funny. Yeah,
Oh, okay. Okay. I bet that's a lot of fun as well.
that is. Mhm.
Yeah.
those are fun.
So, now, you've been on there for a couple of years, periodically.
Mhm.
And what episode, in your mind was one of those episodes where you really had to dig deep, either emotionally or you had to, hatch it to another level, or, what episode was it?
Hatchet's not too deep, Michael.
But the episodes are deep.
Hatchet has not really had to dig deep. Maybe dig deep finding somebody's dirt, But no, I wish I had a good answer for you, but Hatchet is like I say, when I say I pop in and I pop out, it's usually I'm zooming through a scene telling you what I heard or saw, and I'm out. So I have not had to dig very deep.
Okay. Okay. Dr. T, I see you. I see the wheels working.
Yes, yes. Sister Stacy, what I've done is I put your name on YouTube, and I've seen some of your great clips. So I guess my question is, it seems like it's harder to be a comedian now, because it seems like you say something, you could be canceled right away, you can offend somebody. How do you navigate that?
Okay, that is a beautifully excellent question. And yes, there are people get offended by whatever they choose to get offended by. You know what I mean? For me personally, my comedy, I tell my stories. And if my story is offending somebody, I don't know what to do with that. It's my story. You know what I mean? I don't,
Yeah.
I'm not going after any. Seriously, I get up on stage and talk about myself
Mhm.
Yeah.
for however long I'm up there. So that's how I navigate it. But we can't help who gets offended. You really can't.
So that's so hard because I mean we're in the cancel culture still, right?
Mhm.
So watch YouTube and look at some things, and you see some comedians that okay they were hot yesterday, and then okay today a certain group may not like them, and it's just a negative process. And the funny thing to the comedian, he's talking about everybody. It's equal opportunity since last couple of years. If you say, that some of the comedians, they really have to watch it or they're done.
Okay. With with camera phones being everywhere, and people so eager to post the next viral clip calling someone out, I guess you could say that comedians have to watch it, and maybe there are some comedians who are more mindful of that. But what am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say is,
Take your time, Staci. Take your time.
no, comedy and comics, it is a place of expression, of a person's personal expression. Certainly no one wants to be beat up in a verbally abused and beat up in a club that they came to be entertained at. Certainly no one wants that.
Right.
But in the same light, in the same breath, you have to know what are you going into the comedy club for? You know what I mean? To some degree, you have to know what it is to be a audience member at a live club with adults talking to other adults, and maybe adults telling their stories or their perspectives. That's what you showed up for. You know what I mean? Now, some comics
Yeah.
can take it too far. Some comics are abusive to audience members, and their style of comedy is to maybe pick on someone in the audience and talk about their clothes or whatever it may be. But that's not the majority of comics. The majority of comics get on stage to tell stories, to bring joy, and to entertain folks. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
I'm going to be honest, the younger audiences are the ones that are offended the most.
Really?
Mm.
Yes, the younger audiences seem if you telling stories about something that happened to me in childhood, it was messed up maybe, and we laugh about it.
Mhm.
But to a younger audience, I was being bullied, and so they're not going to laugh at a bullying situation. You know what I mean? So it's interesting. It's interesting.
Well,
It's kind of funny. Go ahead, sir.
no, go ahead.
No, it's kind of funny that you say, you talked about your childhood, because I mean, if you again go on YouTube or any other platform and Martin roast, wow, you listen to that, and we were kids when all that went out. That was rough. People would have been canceled right away.
Absolutely. But that's how
But it was funny.
it was funny, and that's how our generations dealt with, I don't know, trauma or life. That's how we dealt with life. We laughed. We found the light in it, the lightness of it. Found something to laugh about in it, so it didn't take you out.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting you said that, though, because I had never heard anyone say that the younger audiences were the ones who were a little more offended when they went into the comedy mode, or the comedy club rather, than some of the older folk.
That's my finding.
That's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That's very interesting.
The younger, we grew up, playing the dozens.
Yeah, that's right.
You know what I mean? And having thicker skins. You had to have.
That's right.
What was the saying that we all knew? Sticks and stones may break my bones, but
Right.
words won't hurt.
That's
So
right.
we grew up with that mentality. So we knew not to let things get in that didn't need to get in.
Sure.
And that.
Yep.
Well,
I don't even know if the younger generation knows sticks and stones don't break my bones.
that's true. 'Cause now, man, not sticks and stones. This Glock will get to your bones.
Yes. Yes.
That's what they're doing these days. But you're right. And see, Dr.
Yeah.
T, that's one of the things you have to take back since you're an educator. We need to bring back the dozens in school.
Oh my God. I hate it.
You can't.
I hate it.
They're gonna report you.
It's funny because the dozens started more fights when I was growing up. Inevitably, it was okay if they were saying things about you. You know what I mean? But
Yep.
then when
You
they
hit
started,
your mama.
when you said mama, oh my goodness, then it was on and popping. Literally, you talk about mama. That's what. But you know what, Staci, I think you got something there. I think we're gonna, Doc. You need to bring the dozens back, man.
Kids couldn't handle it. They would not be able to handle it.
Yeah.
I grew up with it, and I could barely handle it. The dozens was brutal. I was like, please, please don't land on me, please. Please don't let me be the focus of it.
Staci, I made the mistake before we moved to Vegas. I made the mistake. My wife and I would come out here every year for our anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
And I played the dozens with George Wallace.
Ooh.
I sure did. 'Cause I
Why
told
would you do
George,
that?
well, because he asked, anybody gonna play the dozens? So I told George that his mama was so fat, she put on lip gloss with a water hose, right? That's what I told George. And George said, my mama was so fat, she had a real horse on her polo shirt. I'll never forget that. And my wife was like, "Oh no, you didn't do this." I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm doing it." You know what I mean? It was great, but back in the day, that would have been a fight.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
That would have been a straight up fight. I mean,
Yep.
all day. So yeah, you didn't play. You didn't play that. But that's real interesting. I tell you, the next time I go to a show, I'm going to pay attention to that.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? And that's a great segue, Staci, because I know you haven't gotten away from your comedy DNA. I know you've been on you've been on The Neighborhood and doing some other things, but talk to us about the comedy circuit that you're on right now and and some of the things that you have coming up.
Okay, so yes, I've been doing stand up since the 90s. I was on little trivia here. I was on the very first episode of Comic View.
Wow.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So off and on I've been doing comedy since the 90s. I was, life would happen and I'd have to stop for a couple of years and then jump back in. But I'm back in again.
Nice.
And I'm having a blast this time around. It's like being older, you're talking about being canceled, but being older, doing comedy is so much more freeing.
Mhm.
I feel, you know, I'm loving it. I started co-producing a monthly show at the Ice House, and it's
Okay.
called Home by Nine. So
Okay.
we love that title. Our audience loves the title because they, you know, there are people who want to come
Sure.
out and get home early, and
That's
those are
right.
our folks. Those are my folks.
That's right. That's right. Now your Home by Nine tour, it looked like that you had quite a few people that showed up. Looked like you had a very good response to it.
Oh my goodness, we sold out. We did. We had a great response. The show sold out, and what we're doing. Okay, I'm trying to say too many things at one time.
Take your time.
Here in Los Angeles, there are I would venture to say thousands of comics. There are so many comedians out here.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times, I'm sorry. What did you say?
Oh,
a lot
no.
of a lot of times when you go to the clubs and you're on a show, you don't really have a lot of stage time to stretch
Sure.
out because they want to give as many people as possible an opportunity. So on our show, we have 5 comics, including the host, and all of the comics are vets who've been in the game for a while, and we give
Sure.
all the comics 15 minutes to stretch out, which
Okay.
is a lot of time by LA standards. And the audience just loved it, just being able to, you know, get to spend a nice amount of time in their comics energy and stories and stuff. So
Sure.
it was an incredible response, and the venue is beautiful.
Mhm.
Ice House in Pasadena, Johnny Buss owns it.
Okay.
The Lakers family,
Yeah.
that's his place. Yeah, we had, you know, a couple of my Hollywood friends showed up.
Okay.
We had a good time.
Yeah. So who showed up and showed out?
Who showed up? I would just say, I won't call the people out, but I would say that I had people from the neighborhood show up. I had my
Okay.
friends who used to be on Mike and Molly show up.
Okay. Nice.
Friends from Raven's Home showed up. Friend who's on Bob Hart's Abishola showed up. And what was that other one? Ghost? What was that? Power Book? Ghost?
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, I had a couple of directors, and managers. Yeah, a lot of my Hollywood folks came out.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. That's great. And based on what you're seeing now, because I know you had some folks that aren't quite as well known as you and others are. What are your feelings about the future of comedy? Do you think it's in good hands? Do you have some good up and coming talent coming up?
Oh, absolutely. I think, yes, I think comedy is in good hands. I have seen some really great comics, younger comics. I say they get offended, and the younger people get offended a lot, but they're very observant, and they're very observant and very inclusive in just their lives, even more so.
Sure.
We were growing up, so their comedy reflects that.
Okay.
I've seen some brilliant young comics.
Very good. And who are some of your idols in comedy, as you were, kind of homing in on your craft?
As I was honing in, of course, I loved Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
And I loved Richard. I mean, I'm gonna say everybody that everybody says. But
Okay.
Yeah, of course, I love Eddie Murphy and I love Richard Pryor. When Wanda Sykes came on the scene, I absolutely fell in love with Wanda Sykes. Those are the stars that are coming to mind right now. But quite honestly, comics that I would see in the club on the regular that may not have achieved stardom or celebrity, I would say those comics are more influential.
Gotcha. And over the years, have you ever had, one of your colleagues or one of your idols just give you that one nugget that you're like, oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about?
A nugget. I have gotten getting encouragement of just to keep going. You know what I mean? And
Okay.
it's like, I can't remember who it was that told me, but you just gotta stay true to yourself. Your audience will find you. You don't need to find your audience. Just
Oh, that's interesting.
I'm gonna do me wherever I get the opportunity to do me, and those people that are in the audience that like what I'm doing are going to follow me where I go. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So I don't need to run out and try to find people. I just need to stand up and show up in excellence every time I have an opportunity.
That's great advice. That's really good advice. Dr. T.
I got a question. Reading your resume, very impressive. So you're an accomplished actress, comedian. Have you thought about doing Broadway and being a part of that and being...
Okay, I have thought about Broadway. I have actually been on the stage since I was 6 years old. I started in theater in Chicago. So that is my background.
Okay.
I would love to do Broadway. I actually really would. I love theater, and that's one of the reasons I love multicam so much, because it's the closest thing to theater. It's ran like a play. It's just like you're doing a play. And when we have a live audience, that's how it's filmed, as opposed to a show that's single cam, is shot out of order a lot. You don't have an opportunity to film in front of a live audience, But I love theater. I would love to get to Broadway.
Okay, so when is your next comedy special?
My next special?
Mm-hmm.
Are you asking about our special? Because I don't have a special right now. But
you have to do one. You can do it. I've seen your stuff. You're funny.
Oh, well, thank you. I have not thought about. Let's say that I have not considered a special yet. I will consider that. I will consider that. I have not considered it.
Okay, so you got to invite me, myself, and Brother B there, and we'll be there in the front row.
That's it.
Absolutely.
We love to come and check you out.
Okay.
So now, back to the comedy circuit. Now I understand you're also working with Vince Staples. Is that right?
What I did work with him on the Vince Staples show.
Okay.
The name of his show, and I played his aunt in one. No, not his aunt. His cousin. Well, his mother's cousin in one episode. So that would make me his cousin too. But so I was on his show. I didn't get a chance. I didn't have any scenes with Vince.
Okay.
I didn't see him on set, but I didn't have any scenes.
Okay.
And so hopefully it gets picked up for season 2.
Okay.
And I'll be able to come back and actually be in a scene with him. But I was in a scene with Vanessa Bell Calloway, and that was everything.
Wow.
Just absolutely everything. She's fantastic.
Wow. And you know, one of the other things, Staci, that we also know that we saw you doing a lot of commercial work. You and I talked about that before the show. And I've seen Dr. T. I saw her the other night on a commercial for some drug that I can't even pronounce.
And, Cabanuva.
What's it called?
It's called Cabanuva. It's a HIV medication.
I've seen that. Yes.
Yeah. So I've been fortunate enough to work commercially a lot, and that's great. That's working commercially is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Nothing like passive income.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, those commercials are always funny too. They're not, you know, not what they're trying to fix is funny, but you know, my wife and I talk about that all the time. When you look at those commercials, and they talk about all the side effects, you know what I mean? And
Hmm.
it's just like, wow, you know what I mean? You know, I always wanted to be in one of those. You know what I mean? Dr. T is like, is your digestive tract a mess? Flagellant-free butt blasters. We guarantee your ass will be right. You know what I mean?
Right.
Users have reported side
And
effects.
then,
You know,
yeah, side effects will be death or
yeah, side effects including
losing a limb.
foot fungus, sagging
Yeah,
breasts. You
but
know
you
what I mean?
like that must be a hell of a situation if you're gonna put yourself through all that to try to get
Exactly,
rid of it.
exactly. You know, yeah, those side effects are just those side effects are something. So you know,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love it. You know, what is it like? Foot fungus. You know, sagging breast, pubic baldness. It's like what the hell? What the
Yes,
hell?
but
I'm not thinking
if
that.
I have to put up with that to get rid of my acid reflux, I will.
That's right. It's like, come on, man. That's just way too much. Too much. But
Hey, Miss Stacy, Brother B can open for you. I
I
mean,
see. I see. Got jokes.
no, look. I'll leave that to the professionals. I'll leave that to the professionals. But you know, earlier we were talking about the state of comedy, and you know, one of the things that, of course, was dominating the news, you know, were the series of interviews with Cat Williams and all those types of things that were going on. And in your opinion, how do you think that those interviews have impacted, you know, the whole comedy scene?
I don't know if this impacted the comedy scene as much as it brought a conversation forward that
Okay.
we all knew about. Like everyone knew.
Okay.
Everyone knew those things were happening. You may not have known the participants all the time, but you know,
Sure.
you knew.
Sure.
But I don't see it impacting the comedy scene or circuit in that it has deterred people from coming to the clubs or anything like that.
Okay.
If anything, it has helped some comedians because
Okay.
you know, people are now searching out their clips, and you know they're getting views, hits on their clips, and going viral.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't think that it's really hurt.
You know, one of the concerns that, you know, barbershop talk, of course, was that you don't normally, you know, you wouldn't see, you know, like Jerry Seinfeld, you know, going against another white comedian.
Mhm.
And, you know, it just seems to be, you know, when you look at the East Coast, West Coast situation, you know, years ago when all of us had the high top fades and all that kind of stuff and all that was going on. And now you've got, you know, Cat Williams, and he's upset with Steve Harvey, and the list goes on and on and on. It's like, come on, you know, why does it appear that there always seems to be a beef with the African American entertainers? And is that being exploited, or are there beefs that are happening between, you know, folks in other cultures, or is it just an
Of
us
course
thing?
there are. Of course there are. I mean, humans are gonna be humans.
Okay.
We don't get along with everyone. You know, some people just irk our soul to no end. But
Mhm.
what I would say is that just as a culture, we're vocal
Sure.
about everything.
Sure.
So why wouldn't that show up on a podcast like that?
Mhm.
Because we talk about stuff.
Okay.
Whereas things that you mentioned, the other cultures, they may do stuff underhanded. You know, it's out in the open. It's out
Sure.
there.
Sure.
But we don't know what's going on behind closed doors all the time. But trust me, those beefs do happen. They are happening.
Mhm. Do you think that and I don't know whether it's fair to call those revelations since folk knew they were going on. Do you think that's this? Well, let's say this whole conversation will improve things a little bit.
In what way?
Well, just in terms of how folks are treated in the business, or in terms of maybe more opportunities, or to either audition or go out on tour, or just some of the concerns that were expressed during that interview.
Okay. I don't know.
Sure.
I mean, I hope so, but I don't know. I can't.
Gotcha.
I don't know, Michael. People gonna be people. I don't know. We like who we like. We're gonna work with who we want to work with. We're gonna want to work with people. Since you spend such a great amount of time with the person when you're touring, you're gonna work with someone that you don't hate. At least be cordial with. So maybe opportunities happen. Maybe they won't, but we're clicky. We're clicky, and
Gotcha.
we'll remain clicky.
Gotcha.
For good reason, though.
Yeah, sure.
People in your circle.
Yeah. And again, it was interesting, and like millions of other folks, I tuned in and listened to it, and sort of took it for what it's worth, and some of the things you've been hearing about over the years, how the streets are talking, and other things. It was like, oh man, that's interesting. That's an interesting dynamic. It was just an interesting conversation that I think it caught some folks off guard. It was eye-opening to others, and other folks are just like, man, these guys have lost their minds. So it's just interesting to get the perspective of folks that are actually in the business, doing comedy on a regular basis.
Right. I think probably what when you have a favorite celebrity, or just any celebrity, doesn't have to be your favorite, just a celebrity or someone in the public eye in general, you forget that they're human.
Yep.
And they're people, they're human, and they operate just like you and your cousins and your friends.
Yep.
So when you hear something and it shatters whatever illusions that you created around them,
that's right.
It's shocking.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think that might have been more it than anything, because we all know people who do exactly everything that they talked about in the interview.
That's
we know people who steal material or take credit for someone else's work.
Sure.
That's all it is, take credit for someone else's work.
Sure.
We know people who what else do they talk about? We know people who just take advantage of people.
Sure.
Sexually harass people
Wow.
to get whatever, to get a job. So, but because people's images of their celebrity friend people were shattered, it was shocking, because you forgot they human. They doing just what y'all doing.
Right. Is that a common thing in the business? Stealing jokes.
It happens, yes, because and sometimes I would say, quite honestly, sometimes it happens intentionally. There's a lot of people who intentionally will hear a joke, like it, walk off with it, maybe even record it to you not knowing. But a lot of times, because you're in clubs and you're hearing stuff all the time,
Sure.
and in the background, it's in your subconscious, you may not even realize that you've taken somebody's joke.
Sure.
You may actually think that you came up with the joke, and then in their comments who will say, hey, that's my joke, and you're like, oh, okay, my bad, or no, that's not the same joke. It's kind of the same premise, but we all have similar life experiences, so you can't own jokes on somebody burning food or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of which, how do you develop your material for your show? Do you read the papers? Do you just watch
I
folks?
told you I talk about myself
Mhm.
the entire time.
Okay, so that makes it easy.
So I develop my material by living my life, Michael.
Okay,
Trying to live my life.
that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, that's
But yeah, there are some comics who are like observational or political comedians, so they keep up with the news. But
sure.
I don't do that.
Okay, okay. Dr. T.
Yes, my question is, we're finding out that, especially in Hollywood, because you're there, things that happened in the past, they're creeping up. You know, they're going things with sex trafficking and underage girls and things like that, and it can get crazy in Hollywood. How do you stay grounded so you're not involved with all the crazy parties that happens in Hollywood?
Well, I mean, just in Hollywood, but just, in general, you have to be really conscious of who you have around you. What is that saying? Like, you're the sum of the 5 people that you hang around the most. So you have to be. I know a lot of people. I know a whole lot of people. However, my circle is very small.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So that's how I stay grounded and out of trouble.
That's good.
Yeah, because seems like the chickens are coming home to roost now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's going on?
hmm
We were just talking about that too. It's and again, it's unfortunate. From a whole lot of different perspectives, and you hate to see those types of things developing. But if the allegations that are coming out are true, then of course you have to be held accountable for it.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And so it's really really sad. But moving on to something a little more positive. So when you're up there on stage, Staci, and you're doing your thing, and you're not getting the reaction that you want from the audience, how do you sort of pivot without having that awkward moment of silence where you're trying to recover and say something that's going to get folks laughing again?
Sometimes I just have the awkward moment of silence
Okay.
and acknowledge it. Like, damn, I
Mhm.
blew that one. Listen, Michael,
Mhm.
I have to make jokes over. Like, be in the middle of the joke and be like, oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Pretend like you didn't hear that.
Okay.
Let me go back. And then when I get to that part, y'all laugh again. I just,
Oh, that's good.
stay present. And like I said, I'll have the awkward moment of silence, but more times than not, I acknowledge it. Like I forgot what I was about to say, y'all,
Mhm. So what was the if you can recall, because I know you've been doing this for a minute, but the stand-up routine that you did where you were killing it. You're just like, wow, man, I really killed that club. Do you have a club where you just went in there and it's just that day, that was the best I've ever been?
The best I've ever been. Recently, how long ago was it? Last year. I think it was
Okay.
last summer. Chicago is my home. So last
Okay.
summer I went to Chicago, and Damon Williams has a club in Chicago called Riddles.
Okay.
And for my birthday weekend, I performed there over the weekend for my birthday and actually on my birthday. And I'm going to say that was the most amazing weekend to me. My set was tight, but in addition to that, I had like friends and family who had never had an opportunity to see me
Okay.
before there. It was, I would say that's what comes to mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's the one where you're like, man, I shouldn't even have been in the parking lot in that place?
Shoot,
That's
any given Any? Oh, I will tell you. I will tell you. Okay. So I
Uh-huh.
was on the Apollo.
Oh, okay.
So, however, I wasn't.
Don't tell me, no, don't tell me the Sandman came out there and got you.
No.
Oh, okay.
So I was shortly after I did Comic View,
Mhm.
I went out to New York, and I was one of the paid comics to come out there and do stand up. How they had the professional comics out there. So I can't remember who the host was, because at this time they were splitting hosting duties between Downtown Judy Brown and Art Curry. They were kind of going back and forth. I don't remember who the host was for mine, but I do remember the musical guest was a group named Portrait. I don't know if you guys remember.
I remember Portrait. Here we go.
Yep. Okay, I had blocked
go again.
out of my brain, and I'm gonna tell you why.
Here we go again.
It's Portrait,
Yeah.
and their stage setup was like frames, right? Hanging frames.
Oh, okay.
So they introduced Portrait. Come to the stage is Portrait. The audience is going crazy. Whoa, Portrait! One of the frames like falls or does something. So they're like, send the comic out.
Oh, wow.
So they send me out there instead of Portrait. They're expecting Portrait. I go out. I'd been less than a year. I'd been doing stand-up. Really had no business doing a TV show, but I was there.
Sure.
So they sent me out there. The audience wanted Portrait. I did not know what to do. But I was like, you know what? Sandman is not going to come out on me on the stage. I did a 7-minute set, I think, in 2 minutes. I was talking so fast. I ran through that stuff, got off the stage, and I was like, y'all, please do not air that. And they're like, you won't. So that was the day I wish I had stayed home.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man. Wow. that you can't top that.
No, you can't top that.
No.
And I don't aspire to top that.
Well, if you didn't grow some thick skin that day.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a cool that's a cool story. That's a cool story. Dr. T, you got anything else, sir?
No, this has been great. Thank you.
Oh, well,
Thank you very much.
Yeah, that takes me back, Dr. T. She's talking about that terrible moment when I messed up my triangle solo. Remember that?
You play with this man?
Doc, look, see, now you hit a sore spot for me because I don't appreciate it. Doc knows that I'm an accomplished triangle player, and he won't give me a shot. I don't understand it.
I'm sorry. It's all my fault.
Yeah, but anyway, but Staci, we really appreciate you being with us this evening.
Oh, thank you for having me on.
Sharing a few nuggets with us. And we just wanted to, we've been watching all the things you've been doing and just wanted to get you on and just kind of talk about, the things you're doing. And before you go, though, tell us where you're going to be in the next couple of weeks and couple months and how people can follow you and all that kind of good stuff.
Yes. So the show that I'm most excited about in the next couple of months is on April 20th. My next show of A Home by 9 is going to be at the Ice House in Pasadena. So we have tickets on sale now for that. So I'm going to tell you, it's a fantastic show. So April 20th there. And then prior to that, I'll just be dropping in clubs here and there, getting ready for that show. Fantastic. And anything else? How can people follow you? And yes, they can follow me. I'm not very creative with my handles, so it's all my name, Staci Lynn Fletcher, and that's Staci with an I, on Facebook and Instagram, and TikTok. Although I don't really post on TikTok, so
sure. But you're mostly on your Instagram.
Mostly, there's a certain age group keeps up with me on Facebook.
Yes, that would be our generation.
And another age group.
Yeah.
keeps up with me.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's one thing we got to talk about soon. And which one of these social media platforms is for who?
Well, I can tell you, our generation is the Facebook generation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the youngins, where do they hang out?
They're on. Well, they're even leaving Instagram. Most of them are on TikTok.
Oh wow.
Something else, but
Yep.
Instagram is probably 30, mostly 30-year, 40, yeah, maybe 30s, in the 30s and down. But our generation is definitely on Facebook.
Wow. Okay. To learn something new again. Well, again, Staci, we really appreciate you being on the show. And of course, everybody is now well informed on the comedy game. And we certainly thank you for coming out and just, dropping those nuggets on us. And we certainly wish you nothing but success in your shows and on the House 9 tour. Is it House by 9 or House 9?
Home by 9.
Oh, Home by 9. Okay.
Home by 9.
On the Home by 9 tour, yeah. So
that's what our demographic is.
That's right. When the street lights come on. Okay. Very good. Very good. So we really appreciate it. And Dr. T, take us out.
All right, brother B, another great hosting job today. So congratulations. And thank you, everybody, for listening to Straight No Chaser.
Have a good one.
Good
Bye.
day.
And Staci, don't go anywhere. When we get off the air, there's a special person who wants to talk to you real quick.
Okay.
All right.